If you can go ahead and hit that. You know what? That's good people right there. Thank you, Soros. All right, guys. If you guys need the recording after this, the only way you guys can get it is reach out to the person who invited you. That's how you'll be able to get the recording. If there's any links or downloadables after two, again, the person who invited you will be able to send those out. Guys, we do these trainings every 2 weeks. As you know, it's open to the public. We believe that we are better together. And I'll tell you what, I'm really excited to bring you guys Kelly and Andres. I've known them personally since 4 years ago when I met them in Key West at a different mastermind. And, they told me, oh, we're the Airbnb king and queen. And I believed them then. And I'll tell you what, they continue to prove us right until now. So I'm really excited to bring Kelly and Andres to you guys. And especially so because I believe their story is very unique and it's a very cool one. So Kelly and Andres, welcome to the call and let's meet the Airbnb king and queen.
Thank you so much, Nick. You're amazing, man. Thank you for putting this together. This is really amazing. Always love to share, what we've done, what we can accomplish, and help as many people as possible in the process. Absolutely.
Thank you guys for having us in. It's a pleasure to be sharing, and we're an open book. So anything you want to ask, feel free to.
Oh, I know you are. That's why I was so excited to bring you guys on because I know you're an open book. But I want to get started with how you guys have built this Airbnb empire that you have, because I know a lot of people I want to get into it, but this, and this are happening. So I want to get started with your guys' story to get started, how you guys first, that's how you guys met, but decided to start building this empire.
Sure. So I started in real estate in 2014, and I was like, you know what, I need to become a millionaire. That's the point. I don't want to worry about money, and I just kept looking at how to become a millionaire online, and they just said, real estate. So I was like, okay, this is pretty cool.
And what were you doing at the time, Andres?
At the time, I probably had 7 different businesses. I was selling flowers. I was selling dogs. I was selling life insurance. I've always been very, very active. I also had an investment in a cigar shop. So, I was all over the place back then. But once I laid my eyes on real estate, I basically went 100% full board, and I've been in love with it since. So in 2014, I decided to get into the real estate business. I got my real estate license in 2015, and I did my first flip in 2015. That was my goal. I got my license because I knew I was going to be an investor, and I knew that I wanted to, I was going to buy and sell properties, so might as well make commissions on top of that, right? So did my first flip in 2015. That was cool. Made 100% return on my money in 6 months, which is pretty awesome, right? I saw how the rich make their money work for them, and I just fell in love with that concept. 2016, met my wife Kelly, one of the best years of my life, and also the first year that we actually got into Airbnb. So I bought my first primary in 2016 with her, and it was an FHA loan, and we bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 1-car garage. And so we lived in the master bedroom. And then we rented out the other 2 rooms on Airbnb. Each room was making back then $1,200 a month. So I thought that was pretty cool. Then we converted the 1-car garage that we had in that house to a studio efficiency apartment. And we put a full kitchen, full bath, independent entrance. And just from the 1-car garage, we were generating over $2,000 a month on Airbnb. And then $1,200 per room. So we were grossing over $4,000 a month.
I want to backtrack a little bit because I feel like we're going to dive into what you guys have done and the creative solutions that you've done to create these different Airbnbs. And I want to get a little bit more of your backstory because I think that's really important for some of those people out there who don't believe they're in a position to really build out what you guys have. I want to kind of backtrack a bit and get Kelly's perspective because I know when you met Kelly, what was going on in both your guys' life at the time when you guys met?
Well, at the time we met, I think we were at a point where we were looking for opportunities. And we both knew that we had different talents that we can get together and basically make it work. So it was kind of that perfect balance, even though there was a scarcity mindset, there wasn't that much money, there wasn't that much people around us that knew what we were looking for. So I will tell you that from the beginning, it wasn't as easy, but what made it happen was the commitment, the faith, and basically the hunger of just wanting to achieve success. No matter what, no matter how, there is always going to be obstacles in the way, and that is okay. But the fact is, how are we going to overcome there? Thus, coming from a third world country, not even speaking the language as perfect, not understanding the way it works, the way the business moves, is It's difficult. And if we can do it, I can definitely believe that everybody else that's in this call can do it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the, probably one of the best things that have helped us is just no matter what is going on, always believing that there is a reason why everything is happening. And there are no mistakes. I do not believe in mistakes. I think everything is a lesson for, and every part of the process has had to be there, because if it wasn't because of that, I wouldn't have been here.
Right. And, sometimes, when I see the American dream and all these things, sometimes I lose faith. And then I hear your guys' story, like, especially Kelly, like I wanted to get, like, that's what I was kind of looking for, to get into that too, where when you guys first met, Kelly, you came over here from where, and you weren't even speaking English.
So I'm originally from Medellin, Colombia, representando mi gente, and came here basically looking for the American dream with my parents, but I didn't speak any English at all. So I couldn't get into real estate right away. I started cleaning offices and working at a restaurant. So I will do the night shift and the day shift, just working, trying to make my best of it. It's the best opportunity that I had. And I met this guy. The first meeting, the first day we had, he starts introducing me our real estate. He's like, why don't you get your license, and I can guarantee that you can make at least 40,000 your first year in real estate. I thought about it. I'm like, those are good numbers, and I like marketing, and that's what my forte is. And he's like, I need help with marketing. So that's how we started working together, and ended up working amazing, because Andres is very analytical. He's the finances side of the business. He's the execution and the visionary, and I'm the one that's holding it together, organizing it, setting it up, designing it, making it work better, making sure that the details go in place. So yeah, that's pretty much it. In 2016, we met in March. We started living together in July. We got married in September. That was a hell of a year. We started our first Airbnb in June, July, when we moved together, 2016. This was a one-car garage. It was about a 200 square feet, one-car garage that we converted into a studio with an independent entrance, a kitchenette. It already had a shared laundry with the master, with the house. It was a perfect setup for it. And the mortgage of the house was only about like $1,200 total. We were renting the one-car garage for $2,000 a month. Just a garage. And that's where we rented out the 2 other bedrooms, because we found out this is an amazing opportunity. So instead of just having regular roommates or long-term rentals, let's just start changing everything slowly to Airbnb. But back then, the story was different as well. So there was a lot more flexibility with everything. This is back in 2016. Not a lot of people knew about Airbnb, which is also one of the things that helped. We got into the business when it was at the beginning of it, and it was a lot more flexible. I will tell you that we were not doing as good as we doing now, and that's one of the things that Andres reminds me always. It does not have to be perfect in order to execute on it, and that's one of the things I want to bring out as well, because the fact that we didn't have our Airbnbs perfect, set it up in 2016 did not matter for the end result today. The execution was the main point.
I love that. And, just the fact that, like you guys said, you did the 2 bedrooms, and then you took a look at the garage, and like, what are some of the things that you need to do in order to take that garage and like meet the Airbnb standards for it?
Yeah, so usually with when we do garage conversions, because this is what we do nowadays now, anytime that we buy a house with a garage, we look at it as an opportunity to make an additional $2,500 a month. Usually the return cash on cash to convert a garage is 100%, sometimes 50%, depending on the cost. But yeah, we usually put in a wet bar. We put in, full bathroom, independent entrance. We try to make it about 400 or 500 square feet. And usually from the garage, we'll make anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500 a month, covering the mortgage, taxes, insurance, and utilities of that property. So yeah, part of the strategy how we started was we bought the primary, lived there for a year, and after a year, we went and bought another primary, and then we basically did the same thing. We bought a house. That house had actually a shed in the back. That the previous owner had converted into like a little tiny house. It was kind of run down though, but we took that idea and it was a 180 square foot shed, and we converted it into a really nice tiny house. And to this day, that tiny house has paid the mortgage, taxes, insurance from a shed. The good thing about Airbnb is that it's pretty flexible. So you can pretty much rent out anything, right? As long as somebody's willing to pay for it. So we did that shed conversion. That was really awesome. We also, in the next house, we also converted the carport into another in-law suite. One of the ways that we're doing the conversions is we're basically just adding a master bedroom with a wet bar, and that makes it 100% legal as long as it's connected to your main house, because all these are single family homes. So we just look at real estate a little bit differently. Every single family house that we have, we look at it as multiple streams of income. We see all the doors, all the exterior doors, we see the garage, and we see that as opportunities. So each of our houses could be a single family, but we have 2 or 3 or 4 doors renting from it, all with independent entrances, all with wet bars, all on Airbnb. And usually, you know, each small unit will do at least $1,500 to $1,800 a month. So we lived in that house. We did the same thing. We lived in the master bedroom, rented out the other 2 rooms. Then we bought another house a year after, bought another primary. And now this is the house that we're in. And this house is pretty awesome. It was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, about 2,300 square feet. We converted the garage. We added 2 more bathrooms, and now we made it into a 7-bedroom, 5-bath. We converted that carport. Units. So the house that we're in right now is about 3,000 square feet. We live in 500 square feet. We live in our garage conversion. One of the reasons why we've been able to excel so quickly is because we live below our means. We try to take in all our income and just reinvest it back into new properties. So our house where we live in, I live in 500 square feet with my beautiful wife, and then we rent out the other 3 units on Airbnb. And just from the house that we live in, our primary, after paying expenses, we're at about $3,500 a month, which is pretty cool. So we've just basically done that strategy over and over and over again, and right now we have 54 doors on Airbnb.
And you know, I've been. Is that the place that I was over about? Like, I think it was like the greenish house. Is it green?
Yes, I think you've been there.
Yeah, I think you were.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. So it is a really cool place, and you know, I think that's one of the real reasons, like one of the big reasons I want to bring you guys on here today, because you guys got really creative with how you did your Airbnb. Most people would look at a home and be like, all right, well here's a house that like this is gonna be one Airbnb, but you've taken them and made them as much as like 3, 4 Airbnbs in one place. So what are some of the things that you look for when you're looking for homes that you can turn into Airbnb? What are some of the specs or qualities in a home that you're looking for that really make it stand out to you?
Sure. So first of all, rules and regulations are very important. So depending on where you are, where you live, you got to know what you can or can't do.
You guys are in Orlando. I saw some people ask, we're in Orlando.
Sure. Yeah, we're in Orlando. So Orange County, City of Orlando have completely different rules and regulations. It all breaks down to your municipality, right? So first, know where you're buying and make sure that whatever strategy you're going to do is legal, right? If you're going to do daily rentals, make sure the city allows it. If you're going to do corporate housing, make sure the city allows it. If there's an HOA that you're thinking about buying in, make sure that their rules and regulations apply, right? What we like to do is no HOA. I don't like HOA. We already have a government that tells us what to do. I don't want somebody, and I have my wife tell me what to do. So I don't want another, body telling me what to do. So I don't like HOAs. None of our houses have any HOAs. That's part of the strategy. I like single family and I like block. You know, that's one pretty good thing. We love corner lots. And we love weird layouts. I love weird conversions.
Like define like weird layouts.
Yeah, like a bedroom, like a house that has like 4 or 5 different bedrooms that were added, and it's got like a garage that was converted, and all those ugly looking houses that nobody wants. That's not a cookie cutter. Those are the ones that we love. The ones that have 3 bathrooms, the ones that have 4 bathrooms. Those are the ones that we look for, because the more bathrooms, the more units. That's the way that we see a house. If I see a house that has 4 bathrooms, I see 4 different rental opportunities. And I know that, let's say, out of a master bedroom, what I can do is I can take a beautiful little window, right? I'll take that window down, I'll turn it into a door, and boom, now I have a studio apartment, right? Because the master bedroom already has, a bathroom attached. I can probably look at the plumbing and add a little wet bar, and boom, now out of the master bedroom, we can make $1,800 a month. We have a master bedroom in one of our houses that makes $2,000 a month consistently. A master bedroom, about 200 square feet. So those types of things, it's house hacking at its finest, basically. Basically turning a single family, which is a very affordable product. Because if you go into multifamily, duplexes, triplexes, quads, and we do have one, you do pay a premium. So with single family, you can buy it.
It's the easiest way to start with. And I saw somebody ask about an HOA, and an HOA is a homeowners association. Basically what that is kind of like a small little government within your community. So that's pretty much.
And,
And from what you said, I wanted to mention that there is very, very, very important, and you guys should like keep this in mind. The fact of you wanting to run an Airbnb business, you have to make sure that you're going to be doing it the right way. If you want to make this a real business, you have to make sure you do it the real way. What I mean with that is getting the right permits, getting the right licensing, speaking with the county, making your homework. I know there's a lot of Airbnbs on Orange County, on Orlando, and you guys may be thinking, what is going on with those people that are making Airbnbs? And I will tell you this. It is very easy to get in Airbnbs if you're doing it as a hobby and you just like the feeling of having an Airbnb. I know it does sound cool, and I know it's some of the things that people are getting into because it's kind of like the, ¿cómo se dice la moda? The trend of the year, but you gotta be careful because this is not a hobby. This is a real business that you have to put money, time, effort, everything into it, and you gotta make sure that you're gonna be protected. When we started, we weren't even really paying look at the rules. There was no rules here, honestly. But right now, it's been to the point where you do have to make sure you bring this professionalism into the business because the competition is way too big. So everybody else that pretty much has Airbnbs around, they may be doing it illegally, most likely, and that may be okay until you start growing and growing, and a neighbor catches you and then calls the county code enforcement, and right there you will be shut down in a couple seconds. So be careful with that.
Yeah, so I would say get licensed through the DBPR. Basically get like it's a hotel license basically. That's probably one of the first things to do, at least here in Florida. I can't really speak too much for any other states, but at least here in Florida, you always have to register with the DBPR. I think you have to pay like $700 a year. You get your legitimate license. Now you can either be a property management for yourself or a property manager for somebody else. Obviously, you have to register through the state, so you can get your business tax. You have to register in the county as well, so you can pay those taxes. And then again, I would always look into the municipalities that are local to your market that allow the permitting for it. So for example, in city of Orlando, you can pull a permit and you can have an STR, short-term rental permit, a license. That turns it into a business that now you can sell at a cap rate, right? Much better than, an Airbnb that's not, it's kind of unregulated, the county's not really looking into it. That's not really scalable. So if I were to do it all over again, I would target the areas in your community local to it that allow the permitting. For example, in Melbourne, city of Melbourne, this is about an hour away from Orlando, the city passed an ordinance allowing Airbnb. So you can legally get a license and you can rent your property daily. Right? In Largo on the West Coast, close to, Clearwater, you can legally go to the county, go to the city and get a daily permit license. That right there is valuable. In the next couple of years, I think that all these big hedge funds are going to start looking at short-term rentals. Maybe they are now. There are some that are already buying right now at a cap rate. You could buy a $300,000 house and have it valued at $600,000 at a 10% cap rate, because now that area allows short-term rental and now you have that license. So I think that's going to be the long-term play. Investing in areas that already allow short-term rental, that you can get a permit so nobody can take that away from you. Because we didn't do it like that. We started in 2016. There was no regulations. And we got over 20 notices from Orange County and City of Orlando to cease and desist. They told us, if you don't stop your business, we're going to fine you $1,000 a day. And that was a rude awakening. We had no idea what we were going to do. Yeah. We had over, I don't know, $30,000 a month in expenses easily to cover. And I was like, wow, are we just, what are we going to do? We're going to pivot. So at least in our area, we had already bought about 20 houses in Orange County. We said, crap, what are we going to do?
We can just sell them.
So we looked at the rules, the regulations, and yeah, you can't do daily rental in Orange County. But what can you do? You can do at least, you cannot do it in Orange County, unless it's R3 zoning. What did we do? We saw at what we could do. And it was corporate housing. So
let's explain a little bit about the R3, because that's one of the most important things. So there are kind of like, I wouldn't say loopholes, but ways to making it work. And one of those is if you are in an R3 zoning within Orange County, you are allowed to get your transient rental permit. And a transient rental is related to a short-term rental permit. It's something that is still relatively new for Orange County, but they kind of fit it into the same box as like adult living facilities, daycares, and things like that. So if you have R3, like you can do a duplex, you can also do your Airbnb. And then for Orlando specifically, this is also important to know that yes, you can do it in downtown Orlando, but it has to be within city of Orlando, and it cannot have any HOA, no homeowners associations, and you can only do up to 50% of the house on Airbnb. What that means is that whatever total amount of bedrooms the property has, you can only do half of the bedrooms. So you will have to either do it Airbnb per bedrooms instead of per unit, unless you have the possibility of making a division, or if it's maybe already a duplex, that will be one of the best cases. With a duplex, you will rent one long-term and the other one can be Airbnb. You do have to apply the license for it, but you can get the permit.
And I think that's really important too. Like you were saying, like the checklist of deciding what area you're going to go into and do this. Number one, being legally able to do it, but then there's also different financial gains to being able to do it as well. So are there other things that you guys look for, like as far as like picking out the right area, whether it's legally or just like some different perks to picking out the different areas?
We do. We definitely look for school zones. We want to be in really good school zones, even though we're not looking to rent these properties long term. The appreciation of it is very important, and we know that being in good school zones is going to guarantee that we're going to have that good appreciation. That's what number one. Number two, houses that have the weirdest layouts, just like Andres mentioned. If you see that the house is weird and it does not make sense, that one is a perfect option for an Airbnb or an investment opportunity. Because first of all, you're going to have probably an opportunity of negotiating this best. It's not going to fit everybody else's box, and then you can turn it around and divide the space as best as possible. Like our house, it was the ugliest and weirdest house. When Andres found it, I did not want to buy it. I love it. And I did not want to move into it. I think he negotiated more with the seller than with me because I was already parted. But the thing is the opportunity. So anyway, corner lots are great because you have the parking and the option of dividing it. Block homes ideal, but don't be afraid of the wood ones, because we also have some wood ones and they've been staying there. We had one that was almost 100 years old with an original metal roof that we bought for $30,000 in the land, and we were renting it for $900 for like, I don't even know how many years. That was one of the best returns we had. So never be afraid of the ugliest kind of shitty houses. Those are the opportunity ones.
So,
what else
like,
would you look in a house?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so I was gonna say something that like that I'm thinking of right now. It's like, man, if I'm getting like the ugly, weird looking homes, how do you differentiate from yourself on the competition and keep getting them filled out? What are some of the strategies that you guys use to make sure that your Airbnbs consistently get filled?
So we focus on quality on service. So that's one of the things we've been putting a lot more into. We don't just manage this ourselves. And I know that was one of the questions somebody asked, if we manage the properties ourselves. We don't do it ourselves. We set up a team for it. We were doing it until maybe 5 units. But then we started setting up these people that are making sure that the communication is number one. Communication has to be really, really, really on top with them. You have to make sure that your average response rate has to be lower. You have to make sure that you're constantly changing up your listings, like changing out the photos, changing out the descriptions, moving a couple of things. Airbnb constantly is adding new features and widgets and things. And if you do not update your listings, they're not going to be showing up as the highest results. Just like Zillow, think about it, right? Every time you change the price on your house, it brings up on Zillow to the top. So the same thing on Airbnb. One of the things that we differentiate, that's what I focus on. I try to bring an experience. More than just an Airbnb, this is an experience. And I want to make sure that this person is feeling comfortable and living something different. So every place that we have, even though it is an ugly house, we're gonna set it up to be into something beautiful and maybe turn it into a palace and make it very unique. I like to maybe bring things from my culture as well into it, different type of designs and styles that you may not see here that are different. And especially the way we divide these places, that's the way we make it work. because we lower our risk. We have less risk having more options, right? So the more doors we have, we can have maybe 1 or 2 rented. So that's going to cover at least our expenses. That way we can keep higher occupancy.
Yeah, we look at the real estate as the long-term play, right? We're going to keep these properties until we die, right? 30 plus years if we can. And that really is going to be the real wealth building. The cash flow that we get from Airbnb is cool. That's money to reinvest, but the long-term play is the real estate. That's where the biggest money is made. Like McDonald's, they're in real estate, right? So we always buy in good areas, A or B, that are up and coming because of the long-term appreciation. And yeah, that's part of
I think that was a really big nugget right there, especially making sure that they get, like, it's great. You can do everything right, but if they're not getting filled, then that you're not making any money. So just like you said, updating it consistently, updating the pictures, getting the new features to make sure it stays at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and being able to sleep more people. The more people you sleep, the better. So instead of getting a normal couch, get a day bed. Get 2 more beds. Get 2 more people, because at the end of the day, if you're sleeping 12 people or 50 people, you're going to have less competition. There's going to be more people. They're going to be able to split $300 a night, right? So one thing that I would say,
talk about that a little bit too, about like the sleep and like how important it is to have more beds, be able to fill more people, so that way you're able to do that.
That is extremely important because we're trying to maximize the space utilization. Space utilization at its finest. And basically the fact of why we like to devise places is we don't really believe in the American dream that has been sold of having this huge, biggest house that you are literally wasting. And that has correlations also with some the NAREP 10 principles, which I'm going to get into it in a little bit. But basically the way we divide it is, if there is, for example, a laundry room, we like to look at laundry rooms and see them as bathroom opportunities. Why? Because the plumbing is already there and the connections are already there. Same thing like the beds. We just turn a laundry room into a small bedroom, and I fitted a day bed with 2 twins there. That gives me the possibility of 2 more people sleeping there. That may raise my price at least $50 a night, at least that. So thinking about being minimalist, being simple, you don't have to do the most expensive things on Airbnb either. And especially talking about beds, for example, you don't want to go buy like the nicest things because people are not going to probably take care of it as best, but you also don't want to buy the cheapest. So don't go to IKEA. But usually I set up every bed has to have at least a queen size bed. Every bedroom has at least a queen size bed, 2 nightstands, 1 dresser, the TV, and then the living room is set up for another sleeping area. I will usually add a day bed with 2 twins or a sofa bed that turns into a bed. And there are also like some futons and things like that. Basically think of it like any space in the house that you have, instead of having it with a dead table, think of it if the possibility of being somebody else, which that means more money.
Yeah, man. I saw somebody's like, don't hate on IKEA.
I like IKEA though. I love the design of it, and I think it's very practical and minimalistic.
Right.
But I do not like it is not real wood, and what happens is it keeps expanding. And we've had a lot of beds broken. And you all know what people are getting into it, so you just gotta be real and buy some metal stuff.
that is actually a very good pro tip right there. You never know what they're getting into at these.
I'm buying everything metal, more durable. At the end of the day, want to make an investment that lasts us for a long time.
Yeah. And something else that I think you guys have done a really great job at is like talking about like the upkeep of like upkeeping with 50 doors. Like, what are some of the different ways that you guys are starting into once somebody leaves the Airbnb, like what happens next?
Yeah, so now we grew our team. So now we have a quality control person that manages the cleaners. So we hired her full time, and her job is basically just to walk the properties inside, outside, before the cleaners go, after the cleaners go, to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to make sure they're reporting any damages, and then she gets back to us and lets us know how everything is. So checks and balances are very important. We have a VA that takes care of all the communication. I would think VAs are they're the best because that's something that could be done virtually, and instead of paying $15 an hour, hey, might as well pay $3 to $5 an hour elsewhere, so you can maximize your income, right? And you're still going to get a quality product.
And that communication, like what's the community for someone who's never done Airbnb? Like, what is some of that communication that VA handles?
Everything. She does. Yeah, she does all the communication. So if a guest inquires about, does the pool have heat, or how many people can it sleep, how many queen bed, all the questions that come in, she handles everything. She coordinates with, we have another property manager that handles claims. She's a little bit on a higher level. And then we have the quality control that handles all the cleanings.
Yeah, basically it's 3 managers in our team. Us 2, and then you have to make sure you have the connections for the handymans, for example, and your vendors in general. You have to make sure you have a plumber, an electrician, a roofer, and everybody, lawn care, pool care, pest control, every single thing, because you're gonna need those people on your package. You need them available. You gotta build those relationships, because this business it runs into urgency. Every time somebody needs something, is an urgency. It's not something that you're like, hey, let me call you back and I can send you your CMA later on. No, you gotta fix it up right now and get to the problem right now. It doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, or 3 a.m., right? And those are things you gotta be okay with it if you're willing to come into this business. There is gonna be the fact that you are going to make more money than in long-term business means that you're gonna have to put more work. But if you do have that team set up for it, like I said, we have our 3 managers. 1 is virtual, 2 are personal here. Then we have us 2, and then we have a team of cleaners. Is roughly about maybe almost 10 people available, and then we have the vendors available as well. So it's a total of maybe around 30 people that are always available, making sure that in a day-to-day basis, there is always things happening.
Yeah, it's really important to have a good communication with the cleaning crew. If at first you're starting and you don't have enough to hire a quality control person, make sure that cleaning person is doing videos before and after of the property for you. And there's a cool app that's called Turnover B&B, which does help you either find local cleaners in your market, and it also helps the cleaner know when the next cleaning is, and it allows them to have a portal where they can put in a video of what the property looks like before and what the property looks like after. Paying these people a good amount of money, maybe sometimes even above market, so they can actually do an amazing job for you, I think is very important. We've always paid our cleaners very well, but we also expect them to go a little bit the extra mile, right? So it depends on the property. So if the property has like a lot of game boards, if it has like, PlayStations or whatever the case, we need to have them do that inventory, right? We need to have them they're going to be looking at the property more than you, right? So the communication with that cleaning person has to be very important. And I would give them a role if you don't have a property management company, maybe have a role of the cleaner, give them maybe a little bit of an incentive or a percentage
for that person to be your property manager.
Yeah, at least to begin.
That's how you can start. You basically, and it's pretty simple. The way you can start is, if you don't have anybody else, go on the internet. Turnover B&B, that's the app he mentioned. Turnover B&B is an app where you can find cleaners that live within the area that you're looking for, and then can give you options of how much they're going to charge for that job. Then you can look at their reviews, and based on that, choose who you want to work with. It's very reliable. They have the reviews like Airbnb, so it is a community. Another app you guys should take a look at it is Hospitable. Hospitable is an app that basically is a software to run your short-term rental business. So what this is going to help you do is automate messages, send check-in instructions, upload the listings, merge calendars from platform to platform, have your own website, a bunch of different things. So that's one of the apps you want to use. Hospitable, Turnover B&B, what else?
For pricing is very important. Beyond pricing or Price Labs. Those are the 2 that we recommend.
Beyond pricing. What was the second one?
Price Labs.
Price Labs. Yeah.
Price Labs. Yeah. It's basically a tool that has historical data of the demand and supply of any local market. So they have a lot of information, kind of like Zillow, and they know exactly what's happening in your town. Like, for example, this coming week in Orlando, EDC is coming. Hundreds of thousands of people are coming, and you may, if you're in that scene, that's awesome. Obviously, we're in it. But maybe if you're not, you wouldn't know about it. And you don't know that in that weekend, in those 4 days from November 7th to 11th, you can 10x your money. But how do you know that? you need to have a software that takes care of that. So beyond pricing and price labs are probably one of the most essential things. So you don't leave money on the table. It costs about 1%, but you can usually make 4 to 8% more by using that product, which is pretty great. So automation is everything. Those are the tools that we use to make life simpler.
And another tool that is very important, that's probably one of the most important tools we have in our toolbox. These are called the NAREP 10 principles. And the NAREP 10 principles are literally some of the things that have helped us get to this point. And this is correlated to NAREP, is National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. And the reason why I bring it up, it is important, is because it really is important to me. If it wasn't because some of the principles that I have there, we wouldn't have been here, like living below our means. That's principle number 3. No matter what, no matter how many properties we've been growing in, we've been trying as much as possible, as fast as we can, to live below our means and staying broke. That way we can keep hanging and be reinvesting. So that's principle number 3, live below your means and be ready for the next recession. Another one that's very important for me as well is the principle number 8, which is be physically fit, but not only physically fit, be mentally, physically, and soully fit, everything. We have to make sure that we are incongruous within ourselves and within what we're doing, and understanding the fact of that there is not just a wanting to make the money, or the fact of just having a good business. That is not really what's going to make it. You have to make sure that your family is also good, that your health is also good, your mind, your mind and your body, because if it's not in congruence, it's probably not going to end up working at the end of the day. So it does take effort, even outside of the day-to-day Airbnb business. It takes effort for us to make it happen. The way we're eating, the way we're exercising, the decisions we're taking day to day, the habits we're implementing into our lives. And that's why I bring it up, and I suggest you guys, encourage you to take a look at it. This is the NAREP 10 principles. I will tell you that if you live that by them, it will change your life.
I love it. I love it. Guys, you dropped some absolute gems on here. We need to get some of these questions. I want to make sure we have enough time to get to a lot of these questions. You guys have been lighting it up. And I feel like that's what we were talking about at the beginning, seeing around the corner. One of those things that really stuck out to me is having that VA to answer a lot of the people that come on board. Because I'm sure there's something there, like that's something that I would not think about. Out of everything you just mentioned, like the communication, where it's like, all right, now it's up and running. Now I just get to wash my hands and keep going. It's like, no, now you got to communicate. People ask questions, people will reach out. And just having that VA can save so much time, energy, and effort. Something else, like you were talking about, like the pricing of the nights. EDC's coming to Orlando, which we might have to talk about. But like just having, I saw it last year and I didn't go. So we might have to circle back.
Oh, you got to come. No, you're coming. You're coming.
All right. But, and also just something too, where it's like putting the ego aside and saying, I'm not doing this to have the prettiest houses and the coolest looking houses. I'm doing this to run a business, looking for some of those weird shaped houses, turning the laundry room into a bathroom or another bedroom, just having some of those little things that can literally take this and make it like a business. So guys, if it helps you guys, here's what we're going to do. So I'm just out of curiosity, you guys have a checklist of something that you do that you could share with us? And also what we would like to do is we're going to have somebody go through and put a checklist of some of these things that you guys said into this, and whoever invited you guys will be able to send out the checklist to you guys. Does that work?
Put something together.
Oh, even better. Guys, would that help you guys? Hey, if you guys want the checklist, just go ahead and put checklist in the chat. I want to make sure that is something of value, because I know some people have been asking a lot of questions, and I think it will. Oh yeah, they want the checklist.
How many people we have in the call?
We have about 219 currently right now.
Awesome. That's amazing. Let me know what are the best questions. Let's see.
Yeah. Oh, here, I'll start reading some of these off to you guys. So I think this is something, again, that most people would think about. How important is it to have a TV in every room that you have? This is from Sharon.
Very important. It is very important because you want to make the experience and you want to make people to be comfortable with it. And even though I don't watch TV, honestly, I understand that this is a need for a rental market business and for something that if you're going to a place to relax and enjoy, you want to have your TV at least for the music. So I usually add one in every bedroom and the living room as well, because the living room is also sleeping space.
Yeah. Do you guys get cable, or like what? Do you guys hook up anything to it?
Only high-speed internet. Yeah, we only do the high-speed internet. We do in our city is Spectrum. I think it's $44.99, $49.99.
changes
We
per
don't do
address.
we don't do cable. We don't do anything else.
Think about
Straight
the less
internet.
expensive stuff is always the better. And at the end of the day, there is Amazon Prime, Hulu, Netflix, and all of these things, but we don't provide them. We don't pay for them. We just provide a Roku TV. And if you're looking for
Roku
TV,
TV?
shop on Walmart.com. Don't go to Walmart. Go to Walmart.com and you're gonna find some good deals.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
Roku
everybody has
TV.
Netflix, Hulu, something to sign into.
Yeah, they will sign in
They
with
have
their
their
own
own-
account.
they
We
have
don't
their
have to
own
pay for it.
Yep.
And Roku also has their own like their own cable kind of thing.
It's free TV
They-
basically.
yeah,
for
they
Roku.
have some channels already included, like the basics.
Yeah. So we have another question here from Clint. He's looking to buy his first Airbnb. I'm curious, how do you evaluate the Airbnbs based on like how much you'll be paying on the mortgage to how much that you could potentially make?
Sure. So it really just depends, right? So usually I like to buy houses with at least 3 bathrooms. And that gives me at least 3 units. Each unit's gonna make at least $2,000 a month. That's 6,000 gross, right? So as long as my mortgage, taxes, insurance is $3,000 or less, we're gonna be okay. I always like to look at the worst case scenario, right? What is it gonna be if Airbnb goes away and I have to rent it long term? What is the long term market rent, and will it cover my nut, even if I have to do a long term rental? If it doesn't work in the long term rental numbers, we don't buy it. And right now we're being very conservative with what we buy for Airbnb. Right now we're only buying houses that already have multiple doors there. At least 2 to 3 units that are already there, or it could be possible. Because usually our average home usually grosses anywhere from 6,000 to 7,000 a month, and usually our average home will have anywhere from 2 to 4 units. So we already know what the market is. So it's very important first to study the market and know what the possibilities are in your market, and invest a little bit of money. Invest into airdna.co.
Number one, go on AirDNA, plug in the address that you're looking to shop.
Look at your
See
competition.
what the area is. You can literally see the exact numbers of people are making.
Yeah.
All that's public by AirDNA. If you pay
Yeah.
for it, of course.
Yeah.
That this is something you pay for it, but it's worth it.
Yeah, we have access to basically the whole country in AirDNA. And AirDNA is basically like a Zillow. They have the most amount of information in the short-term rental space.
And the good thing is that the appraisals are taking in consideration AirDNA numbers for an appraisal. If you're looking to buy a property, now that you're looking to buy a property, this may be another way of looking at it. Like they may be able to base the loan on the AirDNA numbers.
Yeah. Yeah. We do have a lender that does that. Yeah. So right now, some people are having issues getting loans because some of them are, they have to pay for themselves, right? It's a DSCR loan. Like
what is a DSCR?
Debt service coverage ratio loan. So one of the loans that a lot of investors use is a debt service coverage ratio loan. Basically the house has to pay for itself, right? With the interest rates being a little bit higher now, sometimes that's not the case. But there are some specific lenders that we work with that base that rental income not on the long term, but on Airbnb numbers, AirDNA numbers. So that's something very important to look into. You have to see what type of financing you're doing, and if the financing that you're doing requires the property to pay for itself. That's one of the very important things. So I would definitely speak to a lender and get that situated as well first.
Or contact us if you want to get more information on it, because we can help you guys with that as well.
Yeah,
Bingo.
Absolutely.
I love it. And then here's a question from Sharon too. It's she's hearing that Airbnb is saturated across the country and people are complaining of low numbers. Have you guys experienced that, or are some of these tips that you're saying like sleeping more people, keeping it updated, like keeping you guys at the top for it?
So it has changed. There is a lot more competition, and that's understandable. If there is more competition, then there is probably less demand for it. But I will not get scared of it anyway, because the rental market, it keeps growing and growing. At the end of the day, Disney is not going anywhere. And besides that, Disney is not the only opportunity. We don't have any Airbnbs close to Disney, but even though we keep our occupancy rate higher. Why? Because everything we've spoken about already, the little tricks and treats and the little niches that we move around with, which is the flexible way, not the common one, is going to make sure you are successful. So if you do find your small niche within the Airbnb space, you will be successful. But if you just do just another 3-2 with the pool, you may not work, you may not be successful.
Yeah. And I would say one way to mitigate your risk, if you're scared of people that are not going on vacation anymore, there are two different niches within Airbnb that a lot of people don't know. So most people that know Airbnb, they're thinking like, okay, hotel renting for 1, 3, 5 days. There's another one that's called corporate housing or midterm rentals. That's actually the one that we mainly specialize in. Most of our Airbnb properties, they're not being rented daily. They're actually being rented at least 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Our average client stays with us for about 60 days. And that market is probably a little bit more safe than the daily one, right? Because these people are either moving to Florida because they just sold their house in California and they need a couple months for their new house to build, or they just sold their house randomly and they need a temporary place from one house to the other, or nurses that are coming to Orlando to work for 3 to 4 months.
Engineers, construction workers.
Yeah, you name it. Your house just had a fire and the insurance company needs to take you to another home for 3 to 4 months while you fix your house. Those are the best ones. So those types of things I think are probably one of the best ROIs. Yeah. Establishing a good relationship with realtors, right? Realtors always have clients that are moving, right? So that market in the Airbnb space, I think, is definitely more safe because you get basically the best of both worlds. You get a strong rental income, right? Just like how you would do daily, because it's very, very similar numbers, but you have the mix of having somebody there for 3 months. So you don't have to worry about occupancy. And those 3 months you had 100% occupancy. Yeah. So midterm rentals, I think, are huge.
And it's called corporate rentals.
Yeah,
and
midterm
that's
rentals,
what we
corporate
focus
rentals.
on.
And it's also great for if you're in an area where Airbnb is not allowed and you can't do daily rental legally. Okay. Most of the time you can do corporate rentals, because corporate rentals is what? Minimum a 30-day rental, right? Which is a month-to-month lease. So if in your county you're allowed to have a month-to-month lease, you can probably do corporate rentals. So that's one good thing that you could scale nationwide. And that's what happened to us when we got 20 notices. Yeah, we had 20 notices from the county. They're like, hey, you need to cease and desist. Your business is over. You know what we did? We shifted. We went from daily rentals to corporate housing rentals.
After being at the court times.
and now we can do it legally because it's basically like a month-to-month lease. So it's just all about shifting to an even better market, to be honest with you. We love it. It's easier. It's less management. You still make the same money. Actually, you net more money because you have less expenses, less overheads,
less people involved.
So it's also run those numbers.
Yeah,
for sure.
Look at it as don't put Airbnb in a box where it means Disney nightly rentals. It does not have to be like that.
It doesn't have to be.
Think of it of Airbnb as another marketing resource.
Yeah,
is another channel. And just like Zillow, you can promote it there as well, but you're free to do whatever you want as far as Airbnb. You do not have any restrictions as far as like what you're allowed to. And I know one person asked how much Airbnb charges. Airbnb is the most inexpensive channel that you have to pay for compared to all the other ones in short-term rental. They only take 3% from you, the host. So that 3% is already being calculated within the price that they're paying for their total reservation. So you're covered on that pretty much, kind of. If you look at another different channels like Vrbo, HomeAway, Booking.com, Vrbo has like a 5% plus an annual fee. Booking.com has a 15% fee. There's a lot of more of them, but Airbnb at the end of the day, they own about 80% of the market, short-term rental market in general, and is only 3%. So that's why we choose to go with that one the most.
But yeah, we did recently get into VRBO because we were seeing that, back in September, we had like a 55-60% occupancy, which is pretty low.
That's the lowest we ever had.
We decided to go into VRBO, and it's been going very well. So I would definitely say highly suggest to go into VRBO, whether you're doing the daily rentals or whether you're doing corporate housing. We actually just got a 4-month booking at like $5,000 a month from VRBO. So that's pretty cool on a house that my neighbor probably rents out for $1,800 a month. So that's all, that's pretty decent. And also I would look into Furnish Finders as well. So Furnish Finders is mainly specifically for nurses.
Somebody
who
just
are
says
looking
corporate rentals.
Furnish Finders. Furnish Finders is $100 a year per listing, and it's another channel. Another channel that we use is the MLS. So I'm a realtor, and we have most of our properties on MLS, and we get leads from that. Realtors call, they're like, oh, I see that you have month-to-month options. I have a client that needs it for 4 months. Boom, that's the deal right there. And now we build that relationship with that realtor. So also use the MLS. MLS is Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia. Boom, now you're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Now you're everywhere. We're on
better.
so many different websites. That's the way you have to do. You have to.
The more channels, the better. The more channels, the better. Building your website as well, promoting the own website, sharing it with everybody. As you know, we just share it with everybody. We don't focus on thinking of the Airbnb client. It's just we just have an option, any type of client that wants this. That's it.
And just keep reinvesting that money. That's it. We like to think that we're just getting started, to be honest with you. 52 units is a cool number, but I mean, I know people that have thousands of units, 10,000s of units. And I think that that's what we have to look at, because at the end of the day, we all in this call have a huge opportunity. We live in one of the greatest countries. I think it's the greatest country on earth, to be honest with you. I love the United States for the opportunity in the business side. You could do amazing things. I was sleeping on the couch in 2014, and by 2018, my net worth was over $1 million, which is pretty cool. It doesn't sound like a lot of money right now anymore, but it is. It's totally doable, totally plausible, and it's totally achievable. But once you make great money, you got to keep reinvesting and buying more and more properties. And I would say one of the biggest niches that I see is the garage conversions. Whenever you're buying these houses. We have our own construction crew, and I know that my price per square foot to convert a garage is usually about $60 a square foot. Let's say it's $100 a square foot to convert a garage. Usually in the areas where we're buying, the price per square foot under air sells for $300.
So
right? So if you build out your 500 square foot garage, right, which is at $100, let's say $50,000. Let's say it costs you $50,000 to convert your garage into 500 square feet under air, and that can sell for $300 a square foot. You just tripled your money. And one of the ways that we've been able to keep doing this so much is because we use the BRRRR method. Every time that we convert and force appreciate a property, we refinance it, pull out all the equity, and redeploy that into more property.
And what is BRRRR? BRRRR is a really good strategy that if you guys heard of Bigger Pockets also talks about it a lot. If you guys don't know what Bigger Pockets is, you should take a look at it, because you're going to learn a lot about investments and short-term rentals and everything in general. But anyway, BRRRR strategy is buy, rehab, refinance, rent, and repeat, and do it all over again.
Yeah, so most of the properties that we buy at a discount. They're fixer-uppers. You got to make money on the buy. So at the end of the day, Airbnb is a great cash flow. It's a great business model. But long-term, the appreciation that the properties are going to have, the depreciation that you can have on your taxes. We don't pay a lot of taxes because we have a bunch of properties, and we can depreciate all of them. You can depreciate a property over 27.5 years. So if you have a bunch of property, like 30 properties depreciating over 27.5 years, you can depreciate a lot of your income. So we keep buying more and more properties for that reason as well, for the appreciation and for the depreciation, and for the tax benefits as well. So that's also very, very important. Just like McDonald's. I mean, McDonald's has great cash flow in their French fries and their and their burgers, but the real estate, that's the main thing. Buy and hold these things forever. Never sell and keep refinancing them. And we don't pay off our things. We owe, on all our properties. We could pay them off, but why? When you pay a property off, that money dies. Money needs to work. Money needs to be always deployed. Ooh. We always try to keep not a lot of money in the bank. If it was for me, I would have $5,000 in the bank and reinvested everything back into the market. I have a wife that obviously she's like she's my ground, down right? I'm willing to go all in, all in always, right?
Money's meant to be spent. It's meant to be invested.
Yes.
Invested.
But making sure you have a balance with it, right? Yeah. So you gotta make sure that you do your research and you plan.
Andres, I'm all in. Kelly,
especially now when everybody's scared, I'm all in. I put all my chips in.
Oh, he's taking the camera over.
During COVID 2020 in March, when everybody was like, oh my God, the market's gonna crash, the world's gonna crash, we're all gonna die. I told Kelly, I'm like, baby, we need to buy as many houses as possible right now because everybody's freaking scared. And right now is the biggest opportunity. And we bought 11 houses during COVID when everybody was scared. And we probably made over $100,000 per property. almost $1 million in that span when everybody was very scared. Right now is a very similar time. Right now it's very, very, very good times. This is where we turn millionaires into billionaires.
Hey, this is Andres about to walk on fire right here. He's about to walk on fire tomorrow. He's pumped up.
We're about to walk on fire literally because we're actually about to get into the Tony Robbins UPW.
All right, so guys, we have about 5 minutes left of your guys' time here. So here's what I want to do. I want to do rapid fire with some of these questions. All right, you guys ready for it?
Sure.
I'll try and I was scanning through them, seeing which ones we answer, which ones we haven't. And guys, if you guys want the recording, reach out to the person who invited you. We'll get it to you as soon as we can and a checklist. But here we go. How do you damn, I just had it. Do you share any of the kitchen space at your Airbnbs?
Depending on the property, but when we divide the properties per units, we try to add not a kitchen, but a kitchenette on every area of it. You cannot have more than one kitchen in a single family house zone R1, but you can have wet bars or kitchenettes, which is pretty much a sink, and you can have the cabinets and everything, just don't put a stove on it. As long as you only have a hot plate, you can plug it in, that's it, you're good. Microwave and a mini fridge.
Yeah, so it just depends on the rules and regulations of where you live, right? In City of Orlando, for example, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be your primary. You can legally do an ADU, right? An ADU, it's an accessory dwelling unit where you can basically turn your single family house into a duplex, right? We did that with our house where we live in right now. We have a full bathroom, full kitchen, independent entrance. We have a separate address. We paid impact fees. So in California, it's very popular. In California, you can do an ADU and it's very, very popular. That's one of the ways that you can force appreciate your house. But in the areas that don't allow ADUs or they're very, very, regulated, you can get away with, if you're doing the garage conversion, don't call it an in-law suite or don't call it another unit, just call it a master bedroom with a wet bar with an independent entrance. And as long as it has a connection to the main house, they're going to approve your plans. Because at the end of the day, houses can have wet bars. Houses can have a master bedroom can have an independent entrance. Why not? Right? So that's the way that we've done it legally. And that's depending on the location.
Important to mention how to make it legally, how to divide the house and make it legally.
Yeah,
depending on your municipality, I will suggest you do check with your county and city anyway, but as long as the property is connected in between units, as long as you are keeping the house as a single family house, all connected, it is okay. You just have different bedrooms that you just like to close the doors on, and that's it. And what we do is we put 2 doors on that door. So we put one door here, and we have insulation in the middle, and we put a knob that you're not able to, like a key knob, only we have access to it, just like the hotels. Think about it, when you go to hotels, they also connect the rooms as well. Right. So it's the same way, and that's how it is legal. We did the kitchenettes, no kitchens, unless you do the ADU, which I suggest to if you do want to make it like a whole unit in itself, because the ADU allows you to do a full kitchen, laundry room, address, and utilities separated.
Well, here's another question. Researching all these government permits is very difficult. Any tips on that?
Well, I will tell you that definitely is the most difficult part about it. And there is no website or app or anything that has information regarding the municipalities and rules and regulation. And I will say that is the hardest part of doing it. The way we do it is we just call. Every time we see an address, we look at what municipality is, and we call the zoning department on that area, and we ask for it, because there is no place you can find that.
Yeah, super easy. Just call the zoning. Say, hey, what's going on? I wanna know if you can do daily rentals. And you'll either get.
They don't know.
Yeah, you'll either get a we don't really regulate that.
Or they don't know.
We don't know anything yet. Okay, so that means that you can do it. Until they pass a law, yay or nay. So that's kind of a market where it's like, okay, you're kind of in the gray. That's what we always like to find the areas, and I guarantee you, in every state there are cities, municipalities that are smart, that see the bigger picture of, hey, this is another way to make, money, taxes, raise our property value, legalizing Airbnb, allowing people to turn this into a business so the property values rise. And there are cities, municipalities all over the country. You just have to do your research. I just know, and I'll tell you, here in our area on the East Coast, Melbourne, on the West Coast, Largo. Those are the ones that I know locally. But
here's the last question before we wrap this up, guys. And again, if you guys want the recording or anything, make sure you reach out to the person who invited you. But here we go. I want to help this person because they bought three properties for Airbnb in the last year. I have one that's active that's not covering the basic expenses. The other two are just kind of sitting there because of the anxiety. I think you guys covered this a little bit, but I want to get a very specific answer for this person. What ideas do you have, or what word of advice can you give to jumpstart these properties?
I will say that look at the first, is it did they bought or they rented?
They bought.
They bought. Okay, so see what market you have around. What are the closest things that you have around outside of the daily, nightly business, and think about what is close to your area and how you can maybe build some relationships with the businesses around that you can promote that place and kind of figure out like that collaboration part of it. So that would be one thing, getting together with like local businesses or other restaurants or things like that to kind of promote. Another thing will be check into how many days you are renting this property. How is the period of it? Maybe try it for a monthly rental. Right now, there is a really, really high need of properties like this because people are moving. They've been moving, they've been in transition. People are moving from city to city. This has been a lot of movement and people need solutions like this. So think about of doing it a weekly one, a monthly one. Another thing will be, I don't know, maybe look at the amenities that you have in the house. Check what is it that you have inside your house that you can turn into something that's more likable to be an experience for them. Something that's not very inexpensive, like like a gazebo in the back. You can get, let's say, some concrete, some rock, something cheap, lay it in the backyard, put some 4 poles and light fixtures and just create a fire pit area, for example. That's not too inexpensive. Building those additional things that are gonna feel them be comfortable. And let's talk actually, because I think that's a very specific question that we may have to dig deeper into your business and understand where you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it to give you a better solution.
Yeah, we would have to look at the AirDNA. We have to look at the market.
The
we have to
address.
see what the top performing properties are doing and what's the difference between those performing properties and yours and how we can get them there.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, but we can definitely help. Yeah.
So guys, if you guys want, if you guys are open for this too, guys, follow at Airbnb King and Queen on Instagram. They post some really amazing things. And I'm sure if you guys did have any more questions, you might be able to point it to them as well. I know they're super busy with everything going on, but make sure you follow at Airbnb King and Queen on Instagram. Guys, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I know you guys are super busy. You're at Tony Robbins, about to walk on fire, and I felt that fire coming from both of you guys. I want to thank you guys both so much for showing up today and just adding value to the real estate community from all over the country and, well, from all the country and other countries as well. And again, guys, at Airbnb King and Queen, if you guys want the recording or you guys want the checklist that we're going to be sending out, make sure that you reach out to the person that invited you. Guys, do you have any closing words for everybody as we sign off?
Yeah, no, all I got to say is never be scared. At the end of the day, never be afraid to make mistakes. At the end of the day, I love making mistakes because after every mistake, there is a lesson, and I will always continue to make mistakes and keep growing. So the sky's the limit, guys.
Thank you.
Let's get to it.
I just sent you guys our private Instagram, just if you want to have like, on a one-on-one, probably better if you text us on our personal one. If you guys have any questions, feel free to let us know. And well, my last questions first, thank you so much for bringing us up, Nick. This has been amazing.
Thank you, Nick.
I really appreciate the community that you have built. The community that you have built in this business is extremely valuable, and I appreciate you having us as part of that. And just remember, guys, that all of this is amazing and the business part of it is great, but the principles are really what makes it. So check on the narrow 10 principles. Remember, for me, the most important are principle number 3 and number 8. You got to make sure that you are living in congruence, and I appreciate you all, and we're happy to share any questions, and we're an open book whenever you have any questions. And have an amazing day.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Let's walk on some fire.
Let's do it.
Let's get it. Yeah. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome.